Imagine looking at your profit and loss statement at the end of the year and realizing you paid out $20,000 in wages for your highly trained estimators to literally just sit on the phone and say no to people.
Yeah, that is a painful realization.
Right. I mean, you are looking at a massive, invisible overhead tax that you are paying just for the privilege of talking to property owners who are never, ever going to hire you.
Exactly.
And when you are a construction business pushing past that critical $1 million revenue mark, that kind of operational drag isn't just an annoyance. It is the exact thing keeping you from scaling to 5 or 10 million.
It really is. It creates this structural ceiling on your growth. You see these incredibly talented builders who run flawless job sites, but their business model in the front office is entirely reactive.
Yeah, totally reactive.
Like the phone rings, someone answers it, they'll schedule a site visit, they spend 4 hours driving and writing up a quote, and then they just cross their fingers.
Hoping for the best.
Right. They are applying brute force to a problem that really requires engineering. I mean, early adopters of automated pipeline strategies in the construction sector are seeing up to a 30% reduction in their sales cycle time simply by stopping that brute force approach.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to map out how you transition from being a reactive lead chaser to operating a predictable, mathematically sound project pipeline. We are looking at the mechanics of shifting the heavy lifting of lead qualification away from your human team and onto your digital infrastructure.
The goal here is aggressive filtration. We're trying to construct a system where your estimators and project managers only spend their highly valuable time talking to high-intent, profitable clients.
The VIPs.
Exactly. Clients who already fit your operational matrix before you even pick up the phone.
To understand why this digital pipeline is mandatory for scaling, we first need to diagnose the pathology of the current manual system. Because, this inefficiency is a slow bleed.
It really is.
It rarely looks like a sudden catastrophe. It just masquerades as your team being busy.
Being dizzy with the wrong tasks is probably the most dangerous state for a growing business.
Oh, absolutely.
According to Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, contractors spend an average of 25% of their sales team's time on leads that will never convert.
Wait, 25%?
Yeah, a full quarter of their working hours is just vaporized by people who fundamentally lack the capital, or they are outside the mobilization radius, or they are just fishing for free design ideas for a weekend DIY project.
That is wild. Let's put a visual to that 25%. Imagine paying a highly skilled, fully equipped framing crew to drive out to an empty dirt lot every single Friday.
Ouch. Yeah.
Right. You pay their hourly wages, the wear and tear on the trucks, the diesel, the insurance liability, and 0 board feet of lumber get cut.
You would terminate whoever scheduled that deployment before lunch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because this same waste is happening in the office, buried in endless email threads and 30-minute exploratory phone calls, it just gets written off as the cost of doing business.
And we really have to factor in the opportunity cost, which is arguably higher than the direct wages.
How so?
Well, while an estimator is spending half their Tuesday driving across town to quote a, 50 square foot bathroom remodel for a homeowner with totally unrealistic expectations,
Right.
they are physically unavailable to field the inbound inquiry from a commercial developer who actually needs a $250,000 build out.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's the real pain point.
Beyond the immediate lost revenue, this unpredictability completely paralyzes your ability to forecast.
So what does this all mean for dynamic pipeline forecasting? If a contractor is relying on this manual vetting process, how does that skew their broader strategic planning?
It turns strategic planning into pure guesswork.
Just throwing darts at a board.
Basically, yeah. If you lack mathematical certainty about your pipeline specifically, your customer acquisition cost, and your historical lead to close velocity, you cannot safely deploy capital.
Right, because you don't know what's coming in.
Exactly. You cannot finance a new fleet of skid steers, you cannot justify bringing on a new full-time project manager, and you certainly cannot secure better revolving lines of credit from your bank.
The banks want to see the numbers.
They do. Financial institutions look for predictable cash flow, and manual lead generation is the exact opposite of predictability.
We have to fix the leak at the source. If unqualified leads are an invisible tax draining the business, well, working harder is a losing strategy.
You can't outwork a bad system.
Exactly. You have to build a digital barrier. You need an architecture that actively filters the noise while simultaneously rolling out the red carpet for the right client profiles.
The burden of qualification has to shift to your conversion architecture.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The front end of this solution moves us past the concept of a standard company website and into dedicated conversion infrastructure, specifically highly targeted landing pages. We are talking about stripping away the digital brochure aspect of a business and deploying a single focus page where the only possible action is entering the top of your funnel.
Industry benchmarks dictate that a rigorously optimized landing page for construction services should yield a 15 to 20% conversion rate on initial inquiries.
Okay, but wait. I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't having a standard company website enough? Like, why do we need a specific landing page if they already have a site with all their info?
That is a common question, but the reason a standard website fails to hit those numbers is cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Yeah. A standard homepage offers a dozen different navigation paths. You've got galleries, team bios, the company history, employment applications.
Oh, right. People get distracted.
Exactly. A landing page eliminates that friction. If a user clicks a targeted ad for design build custom editions, they are routed to a page that strictly discusses the ROI and process of custom editions, driving them toward a single call to action.
Okay, that makes sense. Beyond cognitive load, let's talk about the underlying technical friction, particularly regarding mobile optimization, because a lot of contractors assume their site is mobile friendly just because the images stack nicely on a smartphone.
Yeah, that is a huge pitfall. True mobile optimization is about latency and interaction cost.
Meaning how fast it loads.
Right. The vast majority of top-of-funnel searches occur on cellular networks, not broadband. So if your landing page relies on heavy render blocking scripts or uncompressed high-resolution hero images of your past projects, your load time spikes.
And people have zero patience these days.
None. A delay of just 3 seconds on a mobile connection can cause bounce rates to surge past 50%.
Wow, 50% just from a 3-second delay.
Yes. You are bleeding out acquired traffic before the page even renders. Your digital net has a massive hole in it, and you are actively burning your customer acquisition budget.
Okay, so capturing their attention with a low latency, high converting mobile landing page gets them in the door. But how do we mathematically ensure the people walking through that door are actually viable for a multi-million-dollar operation?
Right.
Like, we need to stop the tire kickers from slipping through the net without adding a bunch of administrative bloat for the office manager.
This is the transition from standard marketing into operational engineering. The mechanism we deploy here is the multi-stage progressive vetting form.
Let's dissect this blueprint. The strategy relies on behavioral psychology. We aren't throwing a massive, intimidating questionnaire at them all at once.
No, that would scare them off.
Exactly. Stage 1 is frictionless, just basic contact capture. Name, email, phone number. Once they commit to that micro action, the form dynamically expands to stage 2, which asks for the project scope and introduces the budget floor.
This is the crucial part.
Right, so instead of a blank text box where they can type whatever, they face a drop-down menu where the absolute lowest selectable option is, say, $50,000 and up.
What's fascinating here is how progressive disclosure leverages the sunk cost fallacy.
Oh, I love this concept. Explain that.
Well, because they have already invested the effort to complete stage 1, they are much more likely to engage with the harder questions in stage 2. But that budget floor acts as an immediate self-selection mechanism.
It weeds them out.
Exactly. If a user is expecting a full kitchen gut remodel for $8,000, they see that $50,000 floor and they bounce. The data shows this progressive structure filters out roughly 70% of unsuitable inquiries before your servers ever ping your front office.
Think of this progressive vetting like having an elite, polite bouncer at the door of your business.
That's a great way to look at it.
Right. They check IDs, they check the cover charge, ensuring that by the time you step out of the back office, everyone in the room is a VIP ready to do business.
Yeah, or think of it like medical triage. You don't walk into a hospital with a scraped knee and immediately get an audience with the chief of neurosurgery.
Right, you see a triage nurse first.
Exactly. You are assessed by a nurse who categorizes the severity of your condition. This digital form acts as your triage unit, ensuring that by the time your surgeons, your senior estimators scrub in, they are only operating on highly viable, high-value projects.
To configure that triage effectively, you really have to define the matrix of a qualified lead. For an operation scaling into the mid-seven figures, qualification goes far beyond just having the cash, right?
Oh, absolutely. The matrix must include realistic timeline expectations, zoning or geographic footprint constraints, and specific project typologies. You are engineering the farm to achieve a 90% match on your ideal customer profile before the system ever authorizes a calendar event.
Okay, I have to push back on this strategy a bit, specifically regarding that 70% drop-off rate.
Sure, go ahead.
If we introduce a strict budget floor right at the point of entry, aren't we risking the lifetime value of a client? Like, what about the homeowner who only has $40,000 today for a minor renovation, but 3 years down the line, they inherit property and want a $200,000 custom build?
That's fair.
By filtering them out so aggressively today, aren't we leaving future revenue on the table?
It is a valid concern regarding lifetime value, but it really comes down to immediate operational capacity versus theoretical future gains.
Okay.
If your team is drowning in administrative drag today, you will not have a business in 3 years to capture that future custom build. You have to prioritize current cash flow and margin protection.
That makes a lot of sense. You have to survive today to thrive tomorrow.
Exactly. However, filtering them out of your active sales pipeline doesn't mean deleting them from your ecosystem entirely. Those disqualified leads can be automatically routed into a long-term email nurture sequence.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you keep your brand in front of them with zero marginal cost, but you protect your estimator's calendar today.
That distinction is key. You protect the expensive human hours while letting the cheap digital automation maintain the relationship.
Precisely.
This brings us to the data flow. If this triage system works, you are going to get an influx of these highly detailed multi-stage VIP forms. We don't want to create a secondary bottleneck where an office manager is spending their entire afternoon manually transcribing data from a web form into your central database.
No, that defeats the whole purpose. The back-end integration is where the real leverage lives. This relies on API connections tying the vetting forms directly into your CRM and automated calendar tools.
So it's all talking to each other.
Exactly. When a lead submits that final stage and meets the qualification matrix, the API instantly parses that data, maps it to custom fields in your CRM, tags the lead as a high-priority opportunity, and triggers logic to send a dynamic calendar booking link based on the specific project scope. It effectively reduces manual effort for initial contact by up to 80%.
Let me play devil's advocate again. If we are automating 80% of the initial contact, the intake, the qualification, and the scheduling, doesn't that risk making a premium, high-ticket construction business feel cold and robotic to the client?
I hear that a lot.
Because if a client is preparing to spend $500,000 on a commercial retrofit, they expect a white glove experience, right?
This raises an important question about the balance of automation and client experience. Speed to lead is the ultimate premium service in today's market.
Speed to lead, I like that.
Yeah. Automation handles the cold logistical routing, which provides the client with instant gratification. They aren't waiting 48 hours for a callback just to find a time to meet.
Wait.
Because the automation handles the sorting, your human team can bring incredible warmth, context, and focus to the actual consultation. In fact, following up that automated vetting with a highly personalized human connection actually increases closing rates by an additional 20%.
Because they aren't suffering from decision fatigue after dealing with bad leads all morning.
Exactly. Furthermore, we see massive conversion lifts when that automated journey is highly tailored. According to Smart Business Automator's Market Intelligence Report, contractors who utilize dynamic fields to customize their landing page copy and vetted questions based on specific client demographics boost their conversion rates by an additional 10 to 15%.
So the system routes them perfectly, making the client feel entirely understood before the first handshake.
Exactly. It's a highly intelligent, targeted approach.
So what does this all mean for the bottom line? You have built this predictable, mathematically sound pipeline. You now have to measure the financial return and prepare your operations for the inevitable surge in contract volume.
Right, because you cannot scale what you cannot measure. You have to monitor the specific performance dials of this architecture.
The primary metric here is your customer acquisition cost, but specifically your cost per qualified lead.
Yes, that distinction is vital. Like, if you spend $5,000 on ad spend and generate 10 qualified vetted appointments, your true cost is $500 per lead. You then track the lead to proposal conversion rate, and finally, your proposal win rate. By running continuous A/B tests on the front end, adjusting the latency, refining the budget floor anchors, you continuously optimize toward a 2x to 5x return on the marketing automation investment.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, optimizing that front-end pipeline creates a highly predictable surge in closed contracts.
Yeah,
But scaling is a double-edged sword.
it definitely is.
Winning the job is really only half the equation. Executing it without cannibalizing your margins through administrative bloat is the real test. When you build a predictable 3x project pipeline, the bottleneck simply relocates from the sales team to the project managers.
Yeah, a $1 million back office structure cannot support a $3 million contract load without buckling. This is where we have to look at the operational side of the technology stack.
And specifically, how AI platforms handle unstructured data. As a case study, let's look at how systems like Smart Business Automator tackle this exact operational drag. The platform operates essentially as an AI project assistant that bridges the gap between the field and the office.
The administrative overhead generated by a multi-month commercial or residential build is just staggering.
It's a mountain of paperwork.
It is. Between daily logs, submittals, draw schedules, and change order friction, your margins will just evaporate into overtime pay if your systems don't scale alongside your pipeline. It allows project managers to handle the increased volume without being buried.
Looking at the mechanics of these AI assistants, they utilize large language models to parse the daily chaos.
Yeah.
Like a project manager can dictate a rambling, messy voice memo as they walk the site, and the platform synthesizes that into a formatted, clear daily log summary.
That alone saves hours a week.
It auto-categorizes site photos and permits by cross-referencing GPS metadata with the project timeline. When an RFI, a request for information, comes in from a subcontractor, the system can draft a highly accurate response using historical data from the architectural plans.
And the predictive capabilities are where the risk mitigation becomes truly invaluable. Advanced operational platforms don't just organize data, they analyze it for critical path disruptions.
Like detecting a schedule risk before it blows the budget.
Exactly. By comparing current progress reports against historical weather data, supply chain lead times, and subcontractor availability, the system can flag a potential schedule delay weeks before it actually impacts the critical path. It gives your team the foresight to pivot.
Bringing it all together, you're creating a closed-loop ecosystem. The automated conversion architecture triages and acquires the right projects, and the AI-driven operational platform ensures your team has the leverage to deliver them efficiently once the contracts are signed.
We are entering an era where the fundamental nature of construction sales is going to shift entirely.
Also,
Well, as artificial intelligence becomes more integrated into spatial computing and real-time commodity pricing, we might soon see a landscape where the traditional sales pipeline doesn't even exist in the way we know it.
that's wild to think about.
Imagine a near future where a client can walk their property with an AR headset, dynamically design their addition in real time alongside an AI architect, and receive a binding, structurally sound, quote, instantly based on live local material costs and your specific labor availability.
Wow.
The contractors who master digital triage and operational automation today are the only ones who will have the infrastructure to plug into that future.
What if the true secret to scaling your construction business isn't doing more sales calls, but ruthlessly engineering your business so you do fewer highly targeted ones? Imagine what you could build if you reclaim those 15 wasted hours every single week.
It's a game changer.
It really is. The businesses that survive will be the ones that stop operating like analog tradesmen in the front office and start operating like technology companies. Getting your time back today is the prerequisite for building that future. If you know a contractor who is dealing with unqualified leads draining their team's time, send them this deep dive. It could save them thousands in lost productivity and help them build a predictable pipeline. Hit follow on whatever app you're listening on so you don't miss tomorrow's intel. And be sure to visit smartbusinessautomator.com.